Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our webinar, which is all about our newest cloud platform that we're going to introduce today, called Reality Cloud Studio. And if you've been listening to LinkedIn, all our social output, you will have seen lots and lots of content around this new platform. But this is a fantastic solution which enables you to upload your content either from your browser or directly from the field, to automatically register, automatically mesh and visualize your content and share with your colleagues and customers. And today what we're going to talk about is not only the platform, but we're going to talk about the underlying technology. So you can see here it says powered by HxDR, which is Hexagon Digital Realities. And we're going to talk about how that technology that's been brought from the Hexagon group and how that's been deployed within Reality Cloud Studio. So Reality Cloud Studio is, it's all in one, very simple to use, incredibly powerful. But of course, we're going to go through everything today in terms of what this affords you, what this allows you, and how genuinely easy it is to use. So we'll run through the presentation and there'll be a demonstration at the end so you can see the application running live with real world data coming from BLK2GO, RTC data, and we'll look at that at the end of the presentation. Okay, so the reason why I wanted to show that video is because it gives you an indication of what we can create directly within the Reality Cloud Studio platform. So everything you just saw in that video has been uploaded, in some instances registered, it's all been meshed, and then all of the animations are using the virtual tour capability that's built into the platform as well. But as I said at the beginning in the intro, this is about combining cutting edge technologies across Hexagon companies. So Reality Cloud Studio, of course, it's highly scalable by the nature of the fact that it's built on the cloud. And of course, what we're going to do today is talk through not only the features and functions, but also some of the underlying technology. So one of the key things, of course, is it being powered by HxDR. And that's why we've got some experts with us today to talk about how that technology is being deployed within the platform. So we'll start with a brief agenda. So first up, we've got some speaker intros. So from myself and Matthew, plus some other guys in the call today. Then we'll have this technology background into HxDR. Then we're going to look at the core benefits of Reality Cloud Studio. We'll look at the features and workflows of the platform. And then we'll talk about getting your data into the platform, which is obviously key. And then we'll do a demonstration of the platform so you can see it in action. Of course, as always, we'll have a summary and close just to make sure that everyone is happy. So Matthew, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Yeah, thank you very much, Paul. Yeah, it's good to speak with you again and with all the experts coming onto the platform. Thank you very much for that. I'm Matthew. I'm a business development manager for the autonomous solutions. Yeah, looking forward to this one.
So I think what's going to be great is your insight in how this feeds into the autonomy story, which is obviously a big part of the the mission statement from Hexagon. So thank you for joining us. Of course, you probably know me. I'm Principal Software Solutions Manager for Reality Capture. If you haven't been on one of my webinars before, then thank you very much for joining. If you have, thank you very much for continuing to support these sessions. But what I'd like to do now is hand you over to our 3 experts that we have. So guys, if you'd like to introduce yourselves.
Thank you, Paul. Hello, everybody. I'm Mehmet Kovacoğlu. I lead the digital reality team in Hexagon here in Zurich, and I'm joining from Zurich today. We are essentially the team responsible for building the HxDR platform. So if you look at us, we're essentially the constructors and the curators of the platform. And today I will go into a little bit more details on what is behind the statement powered by HxDR.
Thank you, Mehmet. Thank you, Paul. So Frédéric Houbilly, I'm Program Director, Digital Reality. I'm part of the Visual Computing app, and I'm responsible for the roadmap of the HxDR platform, and also, of course, all the applications that are powered by HxDR.
So hello, everybody. Thank you very much, Paul, for inviting. I'm Laura Cabrera. I'm a product engineer on Reality Cloud Studio. I work on the product manager department on the Reality Capture division, and I'm here to give you a little more overview on all on all the features and the workflows from the Reality Cloud Studio.
Yeah, thanks, guys. So from myself and Matthew, thank you very much for joining. What I want to draw your attention to is this little icon. So whenever you see this little icon, one of the slides will have an expert insight from one of the guys here. Laura, of course, is involved more generally because of her participation in obviously the creation and the engineering around the product. But yeah, look out for those icons, and then Mehmet and Frederick will give us a bit more of a deep dive on some of the technology. So Mehmet, over to you.
Thank you, Paul. Yeah, so this is actually a very simple way to give some background about HxDR. Essentially, the platform is the underlying technology that we use to power Reality Cloud Studio, which will be the topic of the talk today. But it's not just limited to Reality Cloud Studio. On top of it, we'll have different products that Hexagon will announce, our own applications that are connected all to HxDR. But the platform itself is also suitable and prepared for building custom applications by you. And that's essentially what's shown here. We all have access to the same API, and I believe the next slide will give you a little bit more background on this. So yeah, the idea behind the platform is really to offer a single way into all the data that is hosted in the platform and all the functionalities offered by the platform. We use the same APIs, the same interfaces to build Reality Cloud Studio against the platform, and the same can be used by any application that is built on top of the platform. Nothing really proprietary that goes into this. We use open web standards to make it easy, accessible, and make sure that anyone can get powered by HxDR.
This is really a great example of what Mehmet has just explained. So by building a platform, we try to satisfy as many use cases as possible. And this one is from a Leica customer, R3DA in Denmark. They are using the really powerful Leica scanners to acquire data, and then they process the data in the Reality Cloud Studio application. So it means extracting the point cloud information, creating the meshes, and then on top of that data ingestion process, we have built an application based on the HxDR SDK to satisfy the business use case of solar panel placements, where you can see here that based on the meshes that were processed in HxDR, nice visualization, and then practical use case here in solar panel placement with different models, and you can see also the solar effect on it. So it's really to prove that the platform can be used in many use cases.
Thank you, Frederick. So I think, yeah, this is great because this is a customer I've interacted with a lot, and they had a very specific use case. They wanted to use Reality Cloud Studio, but obviously have some kind of layered applications and customized features on top. So I think that's the key point to drive home here, is that the technology, the HxDR technology, facilitates the hosting and the storage And then we have this whole bank of APIs and tools that you and Mehmet have mentioned. But yeah, these guys are super happy with what the end result was. So Mehmet, over to you again.
Yeah, so here we're highlighting that essentially the data is coming in from many different channels. It can be from our reality capture scanners, it can be from airborne systems, it can be from uploaded models. And the idea behind the platform is really to bring the content and the usage of that content in one way or another closer together and combine the data in such a way that they can feel different insights for different operational use cases. So yeah, what is really behind HxDR? If I want to highlight it in three parts. First of all, it's obviously the cloud. It's cloud native. We had the cloud in mind as a starting point, obviously benefiting of all the collaborative and scaling capabilities that building on the cloud offers. We took a platform approach, realizing very early on that a single, very specific solution would not answer all the questions that are out there. And as generic as we can make it, the more use cases and the more adoption we can foster, essentially. And this allows, in the long run, the digital reality at scale and becoming a home for innovation of connecting many different insights and many different applications to the platform.
Yeah, indeed, Mehmet, and we can really see that the platform breaks the data silo that we could have in a company, in a huge company, because many teams, many different scanners, many different business cases, and all those innovations that are in a way centralized in the HxDR platform allow us to bring data at the level of the city scale digital reality. So from a mobile scanner to scan internal of a house to airborne data, we can really bring the data into one single platform and break the silo, bring the bridges between those data sources to build something with really high quality. So here, for example, we can see that aerial data and mobile mapping data can be fused together with some really high-level AI algorithm to remove pedestrian or moving objects, integrating interior of building into the city-scale dataset level, really bring a really high-quality visualization, nearly photorealistic visualization of the data coming from multiple data sources. And if you bring the best algorithm we have in-house, you can fuse the data from the airborne, from the city level, from the street level, and we can build what we call actually a super mesh data where you can see the quality is really, really amazing.
Yeah, no, it does absolutely look fantastic. And I think the key thing here is, again, just to stress, Frederick, this technology, this technology, the super mesh stuff of combining everything isn't yet applied within Reality Cloud Studio, but it's there as a technology stack within with the HxDR technology stack, which obviously, of course, we want to get into Reality Cloud Studio at some point in time. But thank you for the overview. And Mehmet, just for you to finally wrap up.
Yeah, so this is a little bit back to our origin. When we initially started, we had to keep the scope limited. We had to figure out how navigating 3D space could be done in an efficient way, in a user-friendly way. And that's where we started with the context of the Dropbox for architects. Connecting to our recently back then released BLK 360 and BLK to go sensors, making sure that we could get the data in, experiment with it, visualize it, sharing that. And essentially the Dropbox for architects was really the starting point or the origin of Reality Cloud Studio.
Yeah, so I guess that was kind of the original ideation of where Reality Cloud Studio came from, right? That's you came up with an idea. We want to get people to get data from the field to the cloud or from the browser to the cloud as easy as possible and visualize it. And that was born from that concept, right?
Exactly. So if you look at the BLK sensors, they all have a single button. That was part of the idea behind it as well. We wanted to keep this as simple as possible, as easy to use as possible, to have streamlined integration of data coming into the platform. And that obviously required us to explore a lot of things at different scales to give the best possible user experience in new products that were being developed.
Oh, thank you, Mehmet. Yeah, so I think what really the next evolution and where we're going to head now is obviously talking about Reality Cloud Studio, so powered by some of those technologies that which was just mentioned. So what we'll do now is myself and Matthew and Laura are going to kind of guide you through the key aspects of the solution and the power that brings to you. So firstly, I'm going to lead in with these three key features that make up Reality Cloud Studio. The first one is what we call the Reality Drive. So this is a little bit like what Mehmet was saying about like a Dropbox for architects or Reality Capture pros. The Reality Drive is basically a folder structure. It's a storage location, a centralized source of truth for all of your Reality Capture data. And of course, we'll expand over time the data sources we can support. But the minute, whether it's you're uploading a GLB file, an OBJ file, an IFC, an E57, a B2G, or an LGS file, they're all supported and we can store it in that location. Number two, Cloud Studio. This is where we're doing our animations, our clip boxes, our measurements, our meshing, our registration. These are the tools that allow us to work with that data. And thirdly, and I don't think Reality Cloud Studio would work without this, is the collaboration aspect. So that is, you're utilizing deep links to share directly to a given measurement or limit box or a tool or even a whole data set. But also, actually having tools, within geotags, so you can, talk to users and you can communicate about a project. And also there's a collaboration space directly within a project. So you can actually talk to other members of the project and you can say, basically have conversations and what needs to be done, what doesn't need to be done, what's completed, and you can talk within that collaboration space. So they're kind of the key three features. But now we'll lead into some other short videos, which will explain a little bit more about some of the let's call them the microservices that sit on top of Reality Cloud Studio.
Yeah, absolutely. Paul, if you look at the practical usage of the system, I mean, I've been in the field quite a couple of times using the system. It's intuitive, it's easy to use. It's connected to the field apps, and from there you can just upload that Reality straight into Reality Cloud Studio. Very, very easy.
Yeah, I think, and with the prevalence of like 5G networks now, Matthew, you're probably talking a lot about this on the autonomy side, or long-range Wi-Fi. The ability to get that data somewhere quickly, securely, is obviously part again of that autonomy story that you're involved with on a daily basis.
Absolutely, it speaks directly to advancing the getting data from the point of capture to the point of analysis. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, one of the main benefits we have is actually the auto registration, because by simplifying this process, just by selecting different scans, you can just click on auto register, input a name, click on the auto registration, and it will generate a separate file with when the process finishes, you will have the whole point cloud unified, and you can just continue visualizing and collaborating on that project.
Yeah, so Laura, what that video showed was obviously bringing together B2G files from our, the BLK to go, to fly, BLK arc. There's also the ability to register E57 files or data from the BLK 360, the all new BLK 360 as well, which you've tested extensively, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Okay, and obviously a huge part of the platform is the ability to mesh, but not, we don't just have a generic meshing engine which works for all data. You can see here we've got our point cloud from BLK to go. You go into your asset, you click generate mesh, and then you can choose the device that data has come from. There's also some generic options if you've got data from third parties, but then we can click in and see the mesh. And of course, this can be downloaded. So you can download it as an OBJ, and we'll be looking at additional download formats in the future as well. But it's not only is it simple, it's fully automatic. And of course, the key point is that it's shareable. And if you create it within an asset, it means when you share that asset to someone else, they'll also see the mesh. It also means that the data is much smaller as well, because actually, you're reducing it down to kind of 1/8 to 1/10 of the original file size when you create a mesh.
Yeah, absolutely. And once you have the data in there, it's always fundamental for you to visualize the data. It's a very big part of showcasing the data to your clients, or just having a new perspective on the data and having the ability to plan your path or your camera path and recording and editing all live while you're in the browser. It makes it a very convenient thing. There's no additional type of software you need to download.
Yeah, and that's what I was trying to show with that video at the beginning, Matthew, actually, the fact that it's all done in browser. You know, you're creating the animation, you're tweaking the animation, you can change the length, you can change the camera angles, you know, you can edit until your heart's content, or you can use those predefined lists. You know, if you want a helix around your data set, you just press the helix button, it automatically chucks in the camera path and you choose the duration and off you go. So it's also really easy, but also the fact that you can direct, you know, you can create maybe a minute and a half animation taking your customer through the exact spots that you want them to see within that data set. So it's really cool. Okay, so now we're going to delve a little bit deeper. So we've kind of given you the high level overview. We've given you like those 4 key, you know, the upload, register, mesh, and showcase. And now we're going to deep dive into some of those before going into the demonstration. So firstly, on a visualization front, you've seen from all the videos, we create these really nice color popped point clouds and meshes. Everything can be tweaked. We can tweak the contrast, the saturation, the density of what we're looking at. We can change the quality depending on, you know, the browser or the memory that we have on the machine that we're using as well. But it's a really nice experience using the platform, and super simple. You know, the key point is it's really, really easy to use. So I believe that here we go. Frederick will just give a bit of a talk about the HSPC format that we're using.
Yeah, Paul, indeed. And as you've just said, one of the purposes is to be able to stream and to visualize those really nice assets from a web browser, which means you can't expect to download the full data set locally. Your application, your web browser is interacting with the cloud, and the idea is that you get only what you need for the current camera angle view, which means for a point cloud, we use our Hexagon Smart Point Cloud format, which is a multi-level, multi-LOD structure for a point cloud, which means you only download what you need for the visualization of your asset. It's special indexed, which means we can easily and quickly access the key information that we require for visualization. And of course, it's compressed, which means it's faster to download, and it's really oriented for the web visualization, which does not mean it's only for web visualization, because as you will see, our desktop application can also consume the same point cloud from the HxDR platform.
Yeah, I think that there'll be a lot more, you know, discussions around how we use HSPC across the business as we go forward. But yeah, thanks for that technical insight, Frederick. That's great. Oh, another one for you as well, Frederick.
Yeah, so once you have a nice point cloud, having a nice mesh is the next step. Although it's not mandatory, but as you can see here, it's really an amazing way to visualize your data. Here, same purpose, so multiple LOD, so you have really an optimized version of the asset for the zoom level that you are currently visualizing. Tiling, which means you don't download everything. Again, you just download what you need. Really nice texturing. That's something that has been heavily improved in the last quarters by our teams to really leverage the pictures from the acquisition, applying those to the meshes, and doing this nice photorealistic rendering. Even in a web browser, it's really, really powerful. So you can upload a data set of many gigabytes, 50 gigabytes, but you will be able to visualize it in your web browser in a really fast way.
Yeah, and I want to say thank you to your team for creating such an immersive experience, because it really, you know, like you said, it's improving all the time, and that's the beauty of having a cloud platform, right? Because you're just constantly able to update and improve, you know, add the next algorithm in. And yeah, over the last 6 months, we've seen this improve massively, even to the point where even this looks good on the screen. I know that we can get better results in the current version of Reality Cloud Studio. So Laura?
One of the other features that we have that are really important for us is the collaboration, because we can connect from the field to the cloud, and also from the cloud to the office. We are not only capable with Reality Cloud Studio to visualize the point cloud or the mesh, but we can also create measurements, limit boxes, geotags that can be visualized on the point cloud, and can be also shared not only within your organization, but among this with external colleagues or users that are outside of our organization.
Yeah, I genuinely see that as one of the most important factors of the platform. Matthew?
Absolutely. If you're looking at the at automation, it's a big part for the type of products that I'm involved with. Having data seamlessly moving up into the cloud and having that registration and meshing done for you, it really helps that quick from data capture to point of analysis type of time frame really shrink down, and it's rendered beautifully, and it's registered in really accurately as well.
Yeah, so we're using well, we'll talk about the technology a little bit later, but what's really nice about the registration is like you said, we are, and you saw the video earlier, you just pick the B2G scans, and subject to having kind of 25 to 30% overlap, it goes off and processes that data using some, well, black magic in the background, but yeah, no, absolutely amazing. And also the meshing, Matthew.
If you look at the top picture, for instance, all the people there, it's a lot of noise. But once you go into this meshing, it just cleans that out for you beautifully. And if you look at the bottom picture, the difference, it's beautifully rendered, nice and clean. And that's the type of data you want to showcase.
Yeah, so if anyone has used any sensor in a crowded space, you'll know that there is noise, and you can see quite clearly from that top image there is a lot of people walking around because it's a busy, active scene. But to see that bottom view with almost every single bit of noise removed automatically as part of that meshing step, I mean, that just gives a whole level of visual fidelity, right, Matthew?
Yeah, absolutely, and yeah, that's BLK2Go data as well. So it's just showcase how great the meshing is on that SLAM type of data. Once again, quick turnaround, ease of use. I quite like this. I've used it multiple times.
Yeah, and that was 3 walks with the BLK2Go, which was automatically registered in the platform. So yeah, I mean, it's super impressive on all fronts, really, the registration and the meshing side of things, and even the colorization of the data looks amazing.
Looks beautiful, yeah.
Okay, so Frederick.
Yeah, Para, and I think you've perfectly well summarized the situation. Indeed, when you scan, you have objects in the field, you have moving objects that you, I would say, would like to remove. And I think that the key aspect of Reality Cloud Studio is that it's all automated. Probably many users will remember the time they spent to clean the data before being able to process it and to use it. HxDR platform and Reality Cloud Studio bring that all automated and a really high level of quality of the result.
I think that, and this video also perfectly demonstrates the LOD streaming for the mesh, because you can see it coming in real time. So that's the kind of user experience on a relatively modest broadband that you would see. So just flipping between the point cloud and the mesh, you can see here again, just wait for the video to run. That is the experience. And then the mesh comes in. And so you can start navigating before it's loaded, but that's how fast it will appear on your screen. So that's fantastic. Thank you, Frederick.
Yeah, if you look at those meshes, I mean, these are all photos from inside the app. If you look at the rendering and how clean these are, I mean, it is astonishing. And the thing is, you can now visualize this through those camera paths and share the data, and collaboration can happen. It's just a beautiful way to showcase your reality capture data.
Yeah, and the other thing as well is, again, I stress it, it's automatic, but these are assets that could be easily dropped into VR experiences, metaverse experiences, gaming engines. We've even done that. We've dropped a lot of these assets into Spatial, which is a metaverse platform, and you can just walk around them. So because they're small and lightweight, they're obviously usable in other applications as well, but they do look absolutely incredible. Okay, so on the import side, you're probably sitting there watching this session, and you most likely are a Hexagon or Leica Geosystems customer. That's normally the way with these sessions, but of course we have to support lots of different formats, and I think I've touched on the formats that we support. But of course, our B2G is natively supported, LGS. There's also LGSX, which is an evolution of LGS, which will be coming later this year. E57, IFC, OBJ, GLB, both mesh formats at the end. But because we talked about this reality drive, we wanted it to be as open as possible. So it doesn't matter if you're using a third-party sensor, you should be able to bring that data into Reality Cloud Studio and process it. So I've taken E57s from multiple different products and processed that through and got fantastic results. E57 should be pretty standardized, so that will allow you to get data in from other locations. And the other thing as well is Matthew will talk about this in a bit more detail, but it's highly compatible with the Hexagon sensors. That by nature of the fact we've designed it to work in tandem. Mehmet was talking about how we have this connectivity from the field to the cloud, and how we try to streamline that with this kind of single button approach. So that is something that is also very important. We're open, but we also play really nicely with the Hexagon sensors.
Yeah, absolutely. Talking about autonomy in the space that I play in, if you're looking at the connectedness of these systems now through the means of Reality Cloud Studio, the systems are all about quick capture, ease of use. So if it's either BLK to go, trying to capture a room very, very quickly, that speed factor is then just passed on to the ability to upload it seamlessly to the cloud, where it's automatically processed, automatically meshed and cleaned, and it's ready for collaboration. You just cut down all of that time from a speed perspective. Even the BLK Arc, if you deploy that in an area where you need information, you need it quickly, you just basically circumvent the whole desktop type of architecture and move straight into the cloud from there, where you can analyze the data, get vital information, and make decisions. So yeah, it's really a beautiful, seamless workflow.
We are talking about importing data, but of course, the Reality Cloud Studio also offers the availability to export that data, not only by downloading the original file, but we can also export point clouds in different other formats. We can also export the mesh on OBJ format. We can also export the panorama images, and then of course we can bring those files exported to other different products.
Yeah, I think that's key. There's a very simple button in there which allows you just to export, and you can choose not only the original file, but obviously any deliverables that you've created. So, you could have your B2G file, your single B2G file, but you could also then download the registered asset directly. And of course, I will mention, or Laura will mention now, streaming as well.
Yeah, because actually right now HxDR also has this connectivity to Reality Cloud Studio, where it's allowed to stream in point clouds in CDR. So if you want to go further and do an inspection or a monitoring analysis or reporting on the point cloud or the mesh or something that you have done on Reality Cloud Studio, you can for sure stream it to HxDR and for there go further.
Yeah, so for the meantime, it's an important point. This is just streaming of the point cloud. So we are working on streaming of the meshing, but also, this kind of bi-directional link, as well as if you're working within 3DR and you're maybe doing some analysis and you've created a deviation report, how would we get that back up into Reality Cloud Studio? So that's all being worked on, and then obviously we'll look at how we can bring that to market.
So talking about importing, exporting all this data, all these files, but how can then the user manage all these assets in Reality Cloud Studio? So of course you can upload any file just by doing drag and drop or connect it to the BLK Live Apps as Matthew was describing before. But we have actually subfolders within the project where you can nicely organize all this data, all these assets. So we can also give some keywords to those assets, which will allow us and will make easier to search among large files of data. So we can also just delete those data. We can also move it around through folders. We can copy it. We can do any file management that we want.
Yeah, I mean, my comment on that, Laura, is that anyone who's used Windows or Mac should just be at home directly with the platform, right? So they've got most of the standard functionality.
Right.
But I think one thing is really important is obviously the searching and the labeling and the keywording, like you said, because I had a project which ultimately ended up with something like 400 assets. And when you get to 400 assets of all different types of scans, you need a way to manage and search that data. So that's a really important feature. Oh, and finally, sorry, access and user rights.
Yeah, so the Reality Cloud Studio actually offers two different user roles that we can have. We have the company roles, so that's actually the maintainer, administrator, and employee. Those will actually allow to invite new users to the account, as well as managing the whole subscription or the billing. But then within the project level, we have also different project roles, which are actually the owner, which is the person who creates the project, and this person actually can invite new members to the project, which can have actually editor role, collaborator, or viewer. When we are talking about editor, this person can do anything they want on the project using the collaboration tools, exporting the data. They can also create meshes or import new data to the project. But if we go to the collaborator role, actually this person can not only visualize the content, but use the collaboration tool. Then we have the viewer, that is the person that has the role that will only be able to visualize the content on the project. And then we will have a different role that is actually, we call it external, so that you can collaborate. We come again with the collaboration feature. You can collaborate with the external people that actually have another account in Reality Cloud Studio. You can invite them to the project and collaborate with them. These people will also be able to have different project roles and then visualize the content or use the collaboration tools and so on.
You know what? I completely missed that earlier on, Laura. I forgot to mention that. Yeah, the fact that you can not only share these deep links, but you can actually invite someone with another account in another company and you can work on a project together. So thanks for mentioning that, because that's a hugely important part of the platform. So, right, 2 workflows, how to get our data into the platform. So we have the desktop to cloud route and the field to cloud route. The desktop to cloud route is incredibly simple. At the minute, of course, it's a matter of creating an LGS file or an E57 file, or getting a file from another source and dragging and dropping that into the browser. We're working on a publish to step directly from Register 360 Plus, for example, where you would just say, publish to Reality Cloud Studio, input your details, and you could upload. But Matthew's just going to very quickly touch on the field to cloud side.
Yeah, absolutely. Paul, if you're looking at speed to get the data out and that ease of use, you have this whole connected ecosystem of field apps speaking directly to Reality Cloud Studio, where these systems that we use from an autonomy perspective can just upload the data seamlessly. You skip that whole step. It's right from the field, right to the office. So it's really a convenient way for you to start utilizing your data in a very, very quick fashion.
Cool. Okay. Right. So Mehmet, if you could just explain to us briefly, obviously, what are the HxDR innovations in the background that facilitate that field to cloud kind of workflow?
Sure. Yeah, you called it a few slides ago black magic, and I hope I can put some light to that. So yeah, getting the data in is only one part of the problem, let's say. So having that uploaded from the field or from your desktop is one piece. We obviously run right after that the SLAM algorithms. We try to figure out what the exact position of these data sets are by applying the spatial algorithm that's built into the platform. The bundles are adjusted or corrected, but this obviously, once you start aligning things, results in very, very big point clouds. We've already mentioned the moving object filter that is applied on top of these big point clouds, which allow us to get beautiful meshes that are cleaned up and result in really the crisp views that we can show on the browser. And it's really that the bringing it to the browser requires to not push all the data at once. So it's all broken into small pieces, into small tiles. There's an LOD algorithms applied to make sort of a pyramid of data that is then piece by piece fed into your browser, and you only get to see the parts where you're actually looking at, and you don't have to download all the data at once. And this obviously allows us to really make use of the best possible visualization, given that we have the need to run all of this in a browser.
Do you know what? That's a really nice overview, Mehmet. And I obviously there's a lot of technical stuff that's behind each one of those words on this slide, but I hope anyone watching that gives you a really nice understanding of the steps that the data is going through in order to give you this really nice look and feel. So yeah, so sort of a peek behind the curtain, Mehmet, of the stuff that's going on. That's fantastic. Thank you for the overview. Okay, Laura, planned features.
Yeah, so what we have for the future, we talked that right now Reality Cloud Studio support the streaming on Cyclone HxDR, but we would like to have this going a step further so that whatever we do on Cyclone HxDR, on the point clouds and in the future on the meshes, that we can actually bring it back to Reality Cloud Studio. And then also we would like to have that the streaming of point cloud supported on CloudWorks.
Yeah, no, I think that's really important. And do you know what? It's one of the first questions that everyone asked me as soon as we released the platform was, when can I stream this into CloudWorks? And we're like,
right.
Look, we know you want it. Effectively, it's a slightly different it's a slightly different method of streaming the data and everything. So we just need to update the CloudWorks products. But yeah, absolutely, it's something that will happen and hopefully will happen very, very soon. And obviously, you can also add some insight into this streaming functionality as well, Laura.
Yeah, because also we want to go again one step further and then having Reality Cloud Studio fully connected to Register 360, where Register 360 will actually stream point clouds and it will be able to improve auto registration that it was done on Reality Cloud Studio.
Yeah, and I think for anyone that is using Reality Cloud Studio in this first iteration, there are some limitations around the registration. So for example, like we can't fix the registration in the cloud yet. We can't do georeferencing yet, but obviously if we have this connection to Register 360 Plus, then that allows us to have like an interim interface for existing customers to fix that stuff if they wanted to. But my gut feeling is that a lot of existing reality capture customers will be using Register 360 Plus or Cyclone Field 360 and uploading registered data to the platform anyway. But yeah, still, I think that's a really interesting direction. So yeah, good to see that we have planned features. So now I'd like to hand over to do a live demonstration. So we will look at the platform, go through everything that you just saw. We'll obviously upload some data. We'll do some registration, some meshing, go into an asset and look at all the tools that are available within Reality Cloud Studio. So hopefully you will enjoy the demonstration and get a lot from it. There's also some videos on YouTube that you can watch if you want to watch some more. But yeah, we'll hand over to the demonstration and we'll see you on the other side very, very shortly. Right, so let's jump into this very quick live demo of Reality Cloud Studio. So here we are at hxdr.app. Here we have the content store on the left-hand side, but what we're interested in, of course, is Reality Cloud Studio powered by HxDR. So you can see all of our recent projects here, but I'm going to jump in so we can start looking at the projects within the application. Okay, so the projects are now loaded. So I can see everything where I am associated with that project, either as an owner or I've been added as maybe an editor. But this is the project that I'm interested in here, which is Reality Cloud Studio. This is our primary demo account. Okay, so there's lots of information in here that we can look at. So the first thing, if I click on my name down here, we can look at the company information, users, any subscriptions and orders. We can obviously manage the profile as well. So that's all bog standard stuff you might expect from an online solution. We can very easily switch to this list layout view and back to the grid layout. We can add additional folders. So all of these are created by myself. We can change, we can click labels. So if we've added labels to a project, we can search, and then we can sort by creation date, name, asset size, everything, the normal things you would expect. You can even search for a project by name up here. Of course, you can also go to project members, so you can see everyone who is associated with the project, so with the various levels, whether they are a viewer, an editor, a maintainer, a collaborator, all these different levels that we have within the platform. You can easily see them in here. And you can also go to project details, where you can see information about the project. We've got this nice collaborative space here. We can also go into the project settings, so we can change all the information, we can add any labels, we can change the cover image, and also we can basically swap the project owner as well if we want to from that location. So we go back to the assets. Uploading, I'm not going to really show you. We've discussed that within the webinar. You can send directly from the field to the cloud. So just log into with your credentials directly from the field apps and send the data, or you can drag and drop data directly in here from your desktop. So whether it's an E57 or an LGS or an OBJ or IFC file, you can drag and drop it and it will process the data for you. What we are going to quickly look at is registration. We showed this in the video, so there's one I did earlier there, but if I click into this Leve folder, there's a few scans in here. So there's a couple where people have already done the registrations, but if I click these 4 B2G scans, so these have come from the Leica BLK to go, and I click auto register up here or auto register down there. I'm going to click it and it will then show the list of the scans, and we can give it a name and we can then click auto register, and that will just process in the background. Now we can do up to 20 B2G scans. You should be aiming for about 30% overlap between your B2G scans. You can also do E57 files from the all new BLK 360 and the RTC, anything where there's associated viz data as well. And at the minute that's an upper limit of about 75 scans with the capability to do more over time. We can do more, but we're just trying to be conservative right now. And all you do is just hit auto register and off you go. So that's where you can see there's Marcus and Eduardo data sets there. But if I just click back to this folder, there's one that says here's one I did earlier, and I can now see that data loading. So that is a meshed asset. So that is 4 B2G scans from the BLK to go that have been loaded. Now what I also want to show you here, and I think we highlighted this in the webinar, is if I show you the point cloud, you can actually see a lot of the noise. So you can see all the noise in the data set, and you can see all these people loitering around here listening to some music on this stage. But as soon as we turn on the mesh results, if I click back to the mesh results, you can see that all of those people have gone. So as part of the meshing step, we actually do cleaning to remove those outliers and give us a nice final result. So now we're going to go back to our assets page again. We're going to go into our our meshing folder, and within the meshing folder I'm just going to show you. So if I click here, you see it says generate mesh. If it doesn't say generate mesh, then there's already a mesh for the asset. But what I can do is I can click that button, I can choose the device that was used from the list. So in this instance, an RTC 360, I click mesh and that will go off and process the data. I think this one as well, if we click generate mesh, again, I could say BLK to go and generate the mesh directly from there. So that gives us some nice control over that. And as I said, we perform the cleaning step as part of that processing. So what we're going to do now is jump into our RTC 360 folder, and there's an asset in here that I want to look at together. Okay, so you can see there's lots of different assets in here. Of course, it's standard file format file tools, so I can click here and I can move it, copy it, rename, delete, share it directly from here. I can export the various parts of it as well directly from any of these 3 buttons. But I can click in any one of these assets now and view it. So I'm going to go into this World War I museum. So this was collected with the RTC 360. We uploaded this in May as we were preparing for Hexagon Live, and you can see the file size. So if we just click on this asset, and that will jump us straight into the project. So now we're in the asset. I'm just going to jump through and talk about some of the menu bars around here and what everything does. The first thing I wanted to show is the assets details here on the left hand side, so you can see the project, what it was collected with, when it was uploaded, the various artifacts that have been generated, so point cloud, mesh, panoramas, and any labels that are associated with that project. You can, of course, if you want to, change this cover image. That's the thumbnail that we see throughout the project, and we can retake that if we want to. This is very important across the top. We've got quick mode, so we can change the viewing status very, very quickly. I'm currently using this vivid mode, so we've got the nice skybox in the background. And then really, really importantly, we've got our sharing options right here. So we can click share. We can share that to within other members within the team, or we can set a general access link. So this is for anyone can view this asset. And if I click copy link, I can, of course, now just click across to another tab, and you will now, this is the public link, so you can see HxDR.app shared asset. So this is now a link that anyone can access. You can see we've got any limit boxes or anything that's been created are all accessible within that public link that we have shared. So that is the sharing capability, which is really, really cool. We can turn that off. So at any point in time, we can kill that access, that general access link, and we can flip the switch and turn it back on again if we want to. But there you go, that's how we would share our asset. Of course, you can switch to the point cloud. I've got the mesh displayed for this particular asset. We've got Doll's House mesh view if you want to, you've got a multi-level building. You can see at the minute when I'm hovering around, we've got these spheres which are representative of all the pano image locations. We can, if we want to, just turn those off. So now when I'm moving around, you don't see them. We've also got a comparison mode that allows you to turn the point cloud and the mesh on at the same time, which is quite nice. So yeah, at any point in time, I can click into those. We'll do that in a second, and we'll show you the different viewing modes. Across here, we've got the visualization settings. So you can change everything from the color. You can change to predefined settings, so highlight, white. We can change all this in real time. In terms of the point cloud, we can change those settings. We've got this nice outline mode, which gives a little sort of shell shaded effect, and we can tweak all these settings as well to give everything a little bit more depth if we wanted to. I tend to use it in no outline. Background, of course, we've got bog standard backgrounds, plain backgrounds, unicolor. We can show the grid lines or not. We've also got what we call background blur, so you can see that in operation now. You've got everything in the background with this nice depth of field, and we can change that. We can turn it off, or we can have automatic or manual. The quality, I've got this set to ultra, so this is loading in as much data as possible. You can also change the max point count. You can also change the memory settings. So I'm currently using 3% of the GPU, and then you can change your cursor. So one that I do really like is this see-through. So if you hover on the see-through, and now I'm just moving around, you can actually see directly through the mesh. So that's really nice on a multi-level building, but we'll stick to the default settings for now. Now, of course, you've got your asset, you've got your mesh that you've created. You have got your point cloud. You can click this export button here. You can download the original file, or you can download the point cloud, the mesh that's been created, or the panoramic images, all directly from here if you want to. And you can see that exporting consumes your monthly subscription download quota, so that's something useful to remember. Now, of course, we've got built-in feedback as well. So if we click the feedback button, you can see whether it was good. You can say whether it was good or bad, and that will come directly to the developers. You can feedback, if there's a feature request that you would like, you can do that directly from within the platform. That's really, really useful. Of course, you can switch between 2D and 3D modes nice and easily. You can reset the project, so if we found ourselves in a funny position under the data set, we just hit the reset button. We go back to the original location for the project. We're in currently this orbit mode, so we just left click, we're moving around. If someone is new to the platform, if they just click the help button, you can see it tells you everything you need to know. But one really nice feature is the ability to go into this fly mode. So if I right click anywhere, it'll now take me to that location. And of course, I can now just use the keys. So if you're used to PC gaming, you can just move around using the directional keys and your mouse button, and you can hold down the shift key if you want to look a little bit faster. So you're in this nice first person mode. And just remember, this is all happening directly within the browser. Of course, we've then got panorama mode. So if I click panorama, that will now jump to the nearest set of photography, and that will load that in and stream that in. And you can see, as I'm moving around, the other panoramas which we can jump to. So if I just click here, that'll take us to the next nearest panorama, really nice and smooth, and we can navigate and view that data. And at any point in time, if we press escape, we go back into the mesh view, and there we are, we're back into the navigation tools. So that is the very, very simple basics of the navigation. So let's have a look at these tools down the left-hand side now. Firstly, we've got limit boxes, then measurements, geotags, tours, and we've already looked at the asset details. But if we click on limit boxes, you can see there's various limit boxes which we've already defined. So I can just click on one of these and it will take us to that area that we've created. So that's a nice little navigation feature. Now at any point in time as well, we can go and we can edit this. We can copy the link directly to this as well, so we can share that, or we can delete it from here if we wanted to. Now if I click display without limit box, we go back to the full asset again. I'm just going to show you how easy it is to create one though. So I just say add limit box. So you can see there's my limit box. I can grab the sides if I wanted to rotate these. I'm just going to grab here, so you can see I can rotate the box. I can grab the handles on the top or the bottom. very, very easily just move this and make a smaller area if I want to. We can also tweak all these settings down here, so we can change the rotation and all of these settings by just moving the bars at the bottom here. And of course, when we're ready, we just hit save. We give it a new name, description if we want to, and that's saved within the list. But yeah, of course, there's all our other limit boxes if we want to, and as I said, we can easily share those. So let's just close that down. Now the next up is measurements. So if we go to measurements, again you can see all of the measurements that have been created. So I can just go in and click on any one of these and it will zoom to that area, so we can actually see what someone has put in place, so you can see them all there. And I can actually show these all, or I can hide these all. But if I say show all, if I move around, you can then see, and I can hover over any of these, and I can actually see the information associated with them. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you how to create another measurement. I'm going to hide all these. I'm going to say add measurement. You've got distance, area, and planar area. So distance is as it says, 2 points. Area, you just click a few points to create your area. Planar actually allows you to create a plane and project onto that. So we're going to show you that method. So you just click 3 points, and there's my plane. Okay, and now when I click my points, they are going to project down onto the surface. I'm just going to double click. I can put in a name there, but you've got the surface and you've got the perimeter being created directly using that method. So that's a nice way to create measurements. But yeah, we're going to keep those hidden for the time being because we're going to show you how to create some tours in a second. So we also have geotags. So geotags in exactly the same way. Every single one you can click on and it will take you to. So there's information, who it was created by. We can even hide these, we can edit them, we can also copy the link directly to it. So again, as we did before, if we copy the link and we just ping that into here again, this will take us directly to that geotag within the asset automatically. Okay, so if you wanted to share a specific part and a specific location of the data to someone, you can do that there. Of course, we can show all of these, and then they become hotspots, so we can just click on these and we can get information about them by just clicking on those hotspots. So that's really nice and simple. In order to create one, we just say add geotag, and you can see there we can now just put the marker anywhere we want to. So we could put it on this sign, for example, add the details, we get the nice little thumbnail and save it, and off we go. So that is the geotag. We'll of course embellish and add more information around geotags in future releases, but I think it's a really nice workflow for the time being. And this is my favorite feature really in Reality Cloud Studio so far, and that is tours. So if we go to tours, you can see various tours that have already been created. So you can see, as I'm moving across, you can see all these blue lines appearing. So I'm going to click on this long fly through here, the 60-second one, and you can see if I now just press play, you can see this is a tour that I've already created, and it is just a matter of choosing your camera head locations. You select to create a camera point, you choose your duration, you've got various smoothing tools, but we can do this directly within Reality Cloud Studio. And the other thing we can do is, of course, render this out as a really nice high resolution final product as well. So if we click record video, you can now choose your video quality. So I always typically use best. You then just hit the record button and it generates the MP4 file directly within the browser. There are some other ways of creating the tours though. So if I go back into the tours and say add a tour, you can see we've got these various settings. So for example, I could say, okay, well, I really want this flyover option. So it automatically then creates a flyover of that asset, and you can render that out. So you haven't had to do anything, that's just done that completely automatically. If we just cancel that and we go back into my original tour, now what I can do here, if I say edit tour path, I can now go in and I can go to any individual camera location along here. So I could click on 12, for example, and I can now tweak that camera location. If I move out, I can actually click on the camera and I can rotate it. So if I click here, you can actually move it, rotate it. You can even delete that camera location within the tour if you wanted to. But I'm just going to press cancel. Of course, you can change all the smoothing. You can also change the tour information. But that is tours, and you can get some really nice outputs from that directly. And I think we showed you that at the beginning. Some of the outputs we showed you at the beginning of the webinar session earlier on. So that is my whistle-stop tour of Reality Cloud Studio. Now remember that data hosted here can of course be streamed into Cyclone 3DR as well. So we're currently only streaming the point cloud, but that does mean that you can then carry out all the operations within 3DR that you might want to: deviation reports, clash analysis, progress BIM reporting, all of those things that you might ordinarily carry out. You can even, have your point cloud and you can stream it down into 3DR and mesh it there if you wanted to. So there's lots of capability, but I just want to say thank you very much for watching this short tour, and now we'll hand back to the webinar and we can just close out with a brief summary. Okay, guys, so just a very brief summary after that demonstration. This is just to start wrapping up the session. And I've broken this down into 3 parts effectively. That is create, automate, and collaborate. So we've talked extensively about how we get our data from the field to the cloud, or from the browser to the cloud. So that's entirely up to you. So this is about, creating really nice content at the end of the day. The automate step, we've talked about automatic registration, cleaning, and we didn't touch really on the panoramic imagery aspect, but that is, that's happening in the background and presented for, ease of navigating around the data sets, and incredibly nice meshes. So you saw that video at the beginning of the presentation where we'd obviously, got all of those assets which have been created directly within the platform. And then the collaboration aspect, which I see as an absolutely huge and key point of the platform, is the ability to share entire projects, or individual deep links to specific parts of a project within your teams or external stakeholders. And the point when Laura was talking, and I forgot to mention about adding Reality Cloud Studio users from other companies to collaborate on projects, where you've got a joint venture and you may want to work on a particular asset together. That's incredibly important. So they're the key things: create, automate, and collaborate. And hopefully you take those 3 keywords away from today's session. So I'd like to wrap up by saying thank you. Firstly, for everyone attending, thank you for joining, but also, extending that thanks to Frederick and Mehmet and Laura, who've joined us today, providing some expert insight. So Matthew, I don't know whether you want to say anything before we wrap up.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much, Paul, and thank you for everyone that's joined us today. Being part of the autonomy story of Hexagon, this is just the next natural step, and thank you for coming on board and telling us exactly how very complex and technically monstrous this thing is, and how seamlessly it integrates and is able to be used. It's taking something very complex and making it so beautiful. So thank you for that, and I'm sure our customers will enjoy using it.
Yeah, and I think the key thing for me to take away is, from where Frederick and Mehmet have discussed the deeper technology, is there's so much stuff under the surface which makes this look easy. But obviously there's hundreds of developers working on this, and however many thousands of person hours have gone into creating this product. But the tagline there underneath the Hexagon logo, empowering an autonomous future, that is absolutely the message that we want you to take away from this webinar series, but also the message that Hexagon is promoting on a daily basis anyway. And this is just part of that story of getting stuff done with as limited interaction as possible, and getting it done right, I think, is the key point. So thank you once again, and we'll see you very, very soon for our next Autonomy Impact webinar series session.